Hey guys, tonight we're going to slow things down and sit with a story that matters. In the heart of Willow Creek, Caleb Jackson, a black mechanic in his 40s, carries a quiet strength, his hands stained with grease, but his heart heavy with hope. He fixes cars for those who can't pay, only to face the town's racial scorn, their whispers cutting deeper than any blade. This is a tale of resilience, of standing tall when the world tries to push you down. Before we begin, please like the video and subscribe, but only if stories like this truly move you. Comment your city and the time you are watching. Now close your eyes, or don't, it's your choice. Either way, you're about to witness something real. The sun hangs low over Willow Creek, painting the sky in hues of amber and rust as Caleb Jackson kneels beside a battered sedan in his garage. The air smells of oil and metal, the faint hum of a distant lawnmower threading through the open door. His hands, calloused and steady, work a wrench with practiced ease, tightening a bolt on the car's undercarriage. This is his sanctuary at a rundown shop on the edge of town where rusted tools and faded calendars line the walls. To Caleb, it's more than a garage, it's a place to mend what's broken, not just in cars, but in lives. He's 43, his face etched with lines that tell of years spent carrying burdens alone. His eyes, deep and searching, hold a quiet fire, one that flickers but never fades. Outside, the gravel crunches under heavy boots. Caleb glances up, wiping sweat from his brow, as a man in a pressed shirt looms in the doorway. It's Harlan Tate, a local realtor, with a smirk sharp enough to cut glass. Still playing charity, Jackson Harlan's voice drips with disdain, his arms crossed as he surveys the garage like it's a blight on his pristine town. "This ain't no soup kitchen. You're making us all look bad." Caleb's jaw tightens, but he keeps his gaze on the car. The word "us" stings Harlan's pale face, and tailored clothes mark a divide Caleb knows too well. Racial slurs have followed him since childhood, whispered in schoolyards, hissed in bars. Now they're cloaked in sneers like Harlan's, but the weight is the same. "I fix what needs fixin'," Caleb says, his voice low measured. He stands wiping his hands on a rag, his broad shoulders squared. Harlan scoffs, kicking a pebble across the floor. "You're just a grease monkey chasing applause. Keep it up and folks will start talking." The threat lingers vague but heavy as Harlan strides back to his gleaming truck. Caleb watches him go, his chest tight with a familiar ache. He's heard worse slurs shouted from passing cars, neighbors crossing the street to avoid him. Yet each barb lands like a stone piling up over years. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb senses this moment is only the beginning. The garage door creaks as Sarah Mitchell steps inside, her face flushed from the late summer heat. She's a single mother, mid-30s, with tired eyes and a nervous smile. Her son, Noah, clings to her hand, his 9-year-old gaze wide with curiosity. "Mr. Jackson, I can't thank you enough," Sarah stammers, gesturing to her old hatchback parked outside. "It broke down on Route 12 and, well, I can't pay much." Caleb waves her off, his expression softening. "Don't worry about it, Ms. Mitchell. Car's running fine now." Noah tugs at Sarah's sleeve, whispering, "Is he a hero, Mom?" Sarah hushes him, but Caleb catches the boy's words, a faint warmth stirring in his chest. Sarah's gratitude is real, but it's a spark in a town primed to burn. Caleb's free repairs have become a quiet legend among Willow Creek's poorer residents, families scraping by in trailer parks, elderly, widows on fixed incomes. He's fixed their cars, no questions asked, slipping spare parts from his own pocket. But to men like Harlan, Caleb's generosity is a threat, a challenge to their status in a town where wealth and whiteness often walk hand in hand. At the local diner, whispers spread, "He's just showing off," they say. "Thinks he's better than us." The words are laced with venom, their roots deep in a history Caleb knows too well. Red-lined neighborhoods, segregated schools, stories his grandmother told of marches and fire hoses. As dust settles, Caleb locks the garage, the sky now a bruise of purple and gray. He walks home along a cracked sidewalk past sagging porches and flickering streetlights. Willow Creek is small, its main street lined with a hardware store, a church, and a bar where country music spills into the night. But beneath its quaint surface lies a tension, a fault line of race and class that Caleb navigates daily. At home, a modest clapboard house with peeling paint, he sinks into a worn armchair. A photo on the mantel catches his eye, his mother smiling, her hands folded in her lap. She raised him alone after his father Walter walked out when Caleb was 6. The memory is a dull ache, a wound he's learned to carry. The next morning, Caleb finds a note slipped under the garage door, its edges frayed. Scrawled in jagged ink, "Stop playing Saint or you'll regret it." His pulse quickens, but he crumples the paper, tossing it into a trash can. The threat is faceless, but its intent is clear. He thinks of Sarah and Noah, their faces bright with trust. He thinks of the cars waiting to be fixed, each one a lifeline for someone in need. His hands clench, but he holds his silence, a quiet strength anchoring him. The garage hums with the clatter of tools as he works, but the note's shadow lingers. In Willow Creek, kindness is a spark, and Caleb knows sparks can ignite both hope and hate. He moves to the next car, a rusted pickup belonging to Mrs. Carver, a retiree who brings him homemade jam every Christmas. As he checks the engine, Noah's voice echoes in his mind. Is he a hero? Caleb shakes his head, a wry smile tugging at his lips. Heroes don't live in places like this. He thinks places where a black man's good deeds are met with suspicion, where every step feels like a tightrope. Yet he keeps going, driven by a promise he made to his mother years ago to be the man his father never was. The wrench in his hand feels heavier now, not with weight, but with purpose. Across town, Sarah sits at her kitchen table, her laptop open. She's typing a post for the Willow Creek community page, her fingers trembling with gratitude. Caleb Jackson saved us today, she writes. He's a blessing to this town. She hesitates, then clicks post, unaware of the storm it will unleash. Caleb, oblivious, works late into the evening, the garage's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The note's words burn in his mind, but he pushes them aside. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb senses the weight of what's to come, a tide rising in the quiet of Willow Creek. The dawn breaks over Willow Creek, a thin veil of mist clinging to the fields as Caleb Jackson unlocks his garage. The air is sharp with the scent of dew and motor oil, the town still asleep under a sky streaked with pink. His boots scuff the concrete floor, each step echoing in the quiet. Yesterday's note. Stop playing Saint or you'll regret it, burns in his memory, but he shoves the thought aside, focusing on the day's work. A minivan waits at his engine, coughing like an old smoker belonging to Mr. Delgado, a janitor who can't afford a tow. Caleb's hands move with precision, but his eyes are wary, scanning the shadows beyond the open door. The garage, once his refuge, now feels like a stage, its rusted walls closing in under an unseen gaze. By noon, the town is buzzing. Sarah Mitchell's post about Caleb's kindness has spread across the Willow Creek community page, racking up likes and shares. He's a godsend, one comment reads. Fixed my tire for free last month, says another. But beneath the praise, darker threads emerge. He's just fishing for attention, a user named Creek Patriot sneers. Bet he's got an angle. Caleb, wiping grease from his hands, is unaware of the digital storm. He's elbow deep in the minivan's engine when Sarah bursts in her face, alight with excitement. Caleb, you are famous, she says, holding up her phone. Noah trails behind, clutching a toy car, his eyes wide. Everyone's talking about you, Mr. Jackson. Caleb frowns unease curling in his chest. Famous ain't what I'm after, he mutters, his voice low, almost lost under the clank of a dropped wrench. He glances at Sarah, her enthusiasm a stark contrast to his guarded stance. Just did what was right, Ms. Mitchell. Sarah's smile falters, sensing his discomfort, but she presses on. People need to know, Caleb. You're changing lives. Noah tugs at her sleeve, whispering, he's like a superhero, right? Caleb catches the boy's words, a flicker of warmth breaking through his reserve, but it's fleeting. Fame, he knows, is a double-edged blade in a town like this, where racial prejudice simmers beneath polite smiles. That evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garage, Caleb finds another note taped to the door. The handwriting is sharper, angrier. Keep it up and your little friends pay the price. His heart stumbles, the words sinking like stones. Little friends could only mean Sarah and Noah, their faces flashing in his mind, Sarah's nervous gratitude, Noah's trusting gaze. He crumples the note, his knuckles whitening, but his face remains a mask of calm. Quiet strength anchors him, though fear gnaws at the edges. He thinks of his mother, her voice steady in his memory. Do right, Caleb, even when it hurts. He slips the note into his pocket, vowing to protect them, though he's not sure how. The next day, the garage is busier than usual. Mrs. Carver drops off her pickup, her hands trembling as she offers a jar of peach jam. You're a blessing, Caleb, she says, her voice soft. He nods, forcing a smile, but his eyes dart to the street where a group of men linger near Harlan Tate's truck. Harlan's there, his smirk sharper, Now his words carrying over the hum of traffic, Jackson's playing the hero card. Won't last. The men laugh, their voices laced with contempt, and Caleb's jaw tightens. He's heard this before: slurs and high school whispers at the car station, the constant weight of being seen as less. But now with Sarah and Noah tied to him, the stakes feel higher, the air thicker with threat. Sarah returns that afternoon, her face pale. Caleb, I saw something online, she says, her voice trembling. Someone posted about you, called you a fraud, said you're using us to look good. She shows him the comment, the screen glowing with venom. Grease Monkey's got a white savior complex. Watch him crash. Caleb's chest tightens, but he keeps his voice steady. Let him talk, Sarah. Words don't change what's true. She nods, but her eyes are clouded with worry. Noah, oblivious, plays with his toy car on the garage floor, mimicking engine sounds. Caleb watches him, a pang of protectiveness surging. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and he senses the town's resentment, coiling tighter, ready to strike. At the diner that night, the air is thick with grease and gossip. Caleb sits alone in a corner booth, nursing a coffee, the ceramic mug warm in his hands. The waitress, a woman with tired eyes, refills his cup without a word. Across the room, Harlan holds court, his voice loud. Jackson's stirring trouble, seem like he's above us. A man in a flannel shirt nods, muttering, time someone put him in his place. Caleb's grip on the mug tightens, but he holds his silence, his face unreadable. He's learned to weather storms like this, to let the words slide off like rain. But the notes, the threats, they're different, personal, a blade aimed at those he cares about. Back at the garage, Caleb works late, the fluorescent lights buzzing like a warning. He's fixing a sedan for a single father, the kind of job that keeps him grounded. The radio plays softly, an old gospel tune his mother loved, its melody weaving through the quiet. He thinks of Sarah's post, how it turned his private acts into a public spectacle. He doesn't blame her. Her heart was in the right place, but the attention feels like a spotlight, exposing him to eyes he'd rather avoid. Another note arrives the next morning, slipped under the door. You can't hide, hero. We're watching. His pulse races, but he tucks it away, his hands steady as he works. The garage is his anchor, its rusted walls a testament to his resilience, but the threats are a tide rising fast. Sarah visits again, her face drawn with guilt. Caleb. I didn't mean for this, she says, her voice breaking. I thought I was helping. He meets her gaze, his eyes soft but firm. You meant well, Sarah. That's enough. Noah runs to him, holding up his toy car. Fixed it, Mr. Jackson. Like you, Caleb kneels, ruffling the boy's hair, a rare smile breaking through. But as Sarah and Noah leave, he feels the weight of their safety on his shoulders. The town's envy is a living thing, its roots deep in a history of division, black and white, rich and poor, those who give and those who take. Caleb's kindness has cracked that foundation, and some will do anything to seal it shut. As night falls, Caleb stands outside the garage, the sky a canvas of stars. He thinks of his father Walter, a shadow from his past, and the pain of abandonment that still lingers. The notes, the whispers, the threats, they're all echoes of that old wound, a reminder that trust comes at a cost. Yet Sarah and Noah have slipped past his defenses, their presence, a quiet promise of something more. He locks the garage, the click of the bolt final resolute. Some truths linger waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb knows the storm is far from over, its heart pulsing in the dark of Willow Creek. The air in Willow Creek carries a late summer heaviness, thick with the scent of cut grass and distant rain. Caleb Jackson moves through his garage, the clatter of tools a steady rhythm against the hum of a box fan. The fluorescent lights flicker, casting shadows that dance across rusted cars, each one a story of struggle he's vowed to ease. At 43, his broad frame is hunched over a sedan's engine, his hands deft, but his eyes distant, haunted by the notes piling up in a drawer. Stop playing hero. We're watching. The threats have grown bolder, their words a blade aimed at Sarah Mitchell and her son Noah, the two people who've cracked the armor around his heart. Caleb's jaw is set, his silence a fortress, but fear coils in his chest, sharp and unyielding. Outside, the town pulses with its usual rhythm. Pickup trucks are rumble down Main Street. The diner's neon sign buzzes, children laugh in a nearby park. But beneath it all, Willow Creek is a tinderbox. Sarah's viral post has turned Caleb's quiet kindness into a lightning rod, drawing both praise and venom. At the barbershop, men mutter over their coffee. Jackson's stirring up trouble, one says, his voice low. thinks he's some kind of saint. The words are laced with the same racial scorn Caleb has faced since he was a boy, when classmates taunted him with slurs and teachers looked the other way. Now the resentment is sharper, fueled by his refusal to bow to the town's unwritten rules. Stay small, stay silent, stay in your place. Caleb wipes sweat from his brow, glancing at a faded photo taped to the garage wall. It's his mother, her smile warm, her eyes fierce with the strength that carried them through his father's absence. Walter walked out when Caleb was 6, leaving a void that shaped him, a wound he's buried under years of hard work and solitude. The photo is a talisman, a reminder of why he fixes cars for free, why he helps people like Sarah, whose hatchback he repaired without a second thought. But the notes, the whispers they dredge up that old pain, making him question if kindness is worth the cost. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb feels them stirring like a storm gathering on the horizon. Sarah arrives at the garage, her face pale, her hands twisting the strap of her purse. Noah trails behind, kicking a pebble, his toy car tucked in his pocket. Caleb, another comment went up. She says, her voice trembling as she shows him her phone. The screen glows with malice. Jackson's using that woman and her kid for clout. He'll learn his lesson. Caleb's stomach twists, but he keeps his expression steady, a quiet strength anchoring him. Just words, Sarah, he says, though his voice is tighter than he intends. She shakes her head, her eyes wide with guilt. I didn't mean to make things worse. I wanted people to see you. Noah looks up, his voice small. Why are they mad, Mr. Jackson? You're good. Caleb kneels, forcing a smile. Some folks don't like good Noah, but we keep going. The moment is interrupted by Harlan Tate, who saunters into the garage, his boots clicking on the concrete. His smirk is a blade, his eyes glinting with contempt. Well, the town hero, he drawls, leaning against a workbench. Heard you're a big deal now, Jackson. Shame it's all a show. Caleb stands, wiping his hands on a rag, his silence heavy with restraint. Harlan's words are a match itching to ignite. You're fooling these folks, but not me. Keep playing savior, and you'll drag them all down with you. The threat hangs pointed at Sarah and Noah, who stand frozen. Caleb's hands clench, but he holds his tongue, his eyes burning with a fire he keeps caged. Harlan chuckles, striding out, leaving a chill in his wake. Sarah's voice breaks the silence, barely a whisper. Caleb, I'm scared. He meets her gaze, his own fear mirrored in her eyes, but he forces calm into his words. I won't let anything happen to you or Noah. I promise. The words feel like a vow, one he's not sure he can keep. Noah tugs at his sleeve, holding up his toy car. You'll fix this too, right? Caleb nods, ruffling the boy's hair, but his heart is heavy. The garage, once a sanctuary, now feels like a battlefield, its walls echoing with the weight of unseen enemies. That night, Caleb sits alone in his small house, the air thick with the scent of old wood and coffee. He pulls a shoebox from under his bed, its edges worn from years of handling. Inside are relics of his past, a letter from his mother, a keychain from his first car, and a single photo of Walter, his father staring back with cold, distant eyes. Caleb's fingers trace the image, anger and longing warring in his chest. Walter's abandonment left a scar, one that throbs now, as the town's threats mirror that old betrayal. He thinks of Sarah and Noah, their trust, a fragile gift, and wonders if he's strong enough to protect them. The photo trembles in his hand, a reminder of the man he's vowed not to become. The next morning, another note waits at the garage, this one slipped through a cracked window. Your new family's in danger. Quit now. Caleb's breath catches his pulse hammering as he reads the words. The threat is personal now, a direct strike at the bond he's formed with Sarah and Noah. He crumples the note, his knuckles whitening, but his face remains a mask of resolve. He thinks of his mother's words etched in his memory. Do right, Caleb, even when it hurts. He tucks the note away, his hand steady as he returns to work, but the fear is a shadow growing darker with each passing day. At the local church, Sarah attends a community meeting, her heart pounding as she listens to the murmurs around her. Some praise Caleb, their voices warm with gratitude, but others are sharp, laced with suspicion. He's stirring things up, a woman hisses, making us look bad. Sarah's hands tremble, but she stands, her voice clear. Caleb Jackson's done more for this town than most. He doesn't deserve this hate. The room falls silent, some nodding, others glaring, and Sarah feels the weight of her words, a small act of defiance in Caleb's defense. She thinks of Noah, asleep at home, and vows to protect the man who's become their anchor. Caleb works late, the garage bathed in the glow of a single bulb. The radio hums an old blues tune, its mournful notes weaving through the quiet. He's fixing a truck for a single mother, her desperation echoing Sarah's. Each turn of the wrench is a prayer, a plea for strength. The threats, the whispers, the photo of Walter. They're all pieces of a puzzle, a test of the man he's become. He thinks of Noah's question, "You'll fix this too, right?" and feels the weight of it, a promise he's determined to keep. The garage is his battleground, its rusted walls a testament to his resilience. But the storm is closing in, and Caleb knows he can't face it alone. As he locks up, the sky is a bruise of purple and gray, the air heavy with the promise of rain. He stands outside the photo of his mother in his mind, her smile a beacon. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb senses the past and present converging, a reckoning he can't avoid. The notes, the threats, the town's resentment, they're all threads in a tapestry leading to a moment that will define him. He takes a deep breath, his resolve hardening, ready to face whatever comes next in the heart of Willow Creek. The sky over Willow Creek is a churning mass of gray storm clouds rolling in like a warning as Caleb Jackson works in his garage. The air is thick with the metallic tang of rain and oil, the fluorescent lights flickering above rusted cars that stand like silent witnesses. His hands, steady despite the weight of weeks of threats, coax life back into a battered pickup. But his mind is elsewhere on the notes, each one sharper, more personal. Your new family's in danger. Quit now. The words haunt him, a shadow that darkens the bond he's built with Sarah Mitchell and her son Noah. At 43, Caleb's face is a map of resilience, his deep brown eyes holding a quiet fire. But fear gnaws at him, a relentless tide. He thinks of his mother's photo on the garage wall, her smile a beacon, and vows to protect those he's come to love, no matter the cost. The garage door creaks, and Caleb stiffens, expecting another note, or Harlan Tate's sneering face. Instead, a frail figure stands silhouetted against the stormy sky, his silver hair catching the dim light. The man steps forward, his steps unsteady, his face etched with deep lines, in a sorrow that stops Caleb cold. It's Walter, his father, the man who walked out when Caleb was 6, leaving a void that shaped his life. Walter's eyes, once cold and distant, now shimmer with regret, his voice trembling as he speaks. "Caleb, my son, I don't have much time left." Caleb's breath catches his wrench, slipping from his hand, clattering on the concrete. Anger surges a storm of its own, but he holds his silence, his jaw tight with a lifetime of unspoken pain. "You got no right being here," Caleb says, his voice low, cutting through the hum of the garage. Walter flinches, his hands trembling as he leans against a workbench. "I know I don't deserve this, Caleb. I'm dying cancer. I needed to see you." The confession hits like a punch, and Caleb staggers back, his chest heaving. Memories flood in, waiting by the window as a boy, his mother's tears, the empty promises of a father who never returned. The garage, his sanctuary, feels too small, its walls closing in as the past collides with the present. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb feels them now, raw and unrelenting, demanding he face the man he's both hated and longed for. Sarah appears at the door, Noah clutching her hand, their faces pale as they take in the scene. She senses the weight of the moment, her eyes meeting Caleb's, offering silent strength. Noah's voice is small, confused. "Mr. Jackson, who's that?" Caleb doesn't answer, his gaze locked on Walter, who bows his head, tears tracing his wrinkled cheeks. "I was wrong, Caleb," Walter says, his voice cracking. "I was a coward, but I heard about you on the radio and the papers. I'm proud of the man you have become." The words pierce Caleb, tearing at the scar of abandonment. His hands clench, but his silence is a fortress, a quiet strength that holds him steady. Harlan Tate's truck rolls by, outside his smirk, visible through the window, a reminder of the town's resentment. The threats, the whispers. Walter's return, there are all threads in a tapestry, weaving a test of Caleb's resolve. He thinks of the notes, their venom aimed at Sarah and Noah, and feels a surge of protectiveness. But Walter's presence is a deeper wound, one that demands a choice: cling to hate or find a path to healing. Caleb's eyes burn, his voice breaking as he speaks. "Why now, Walter? Why wait till you're dying to care?" Walter lifts his gaze, his voice a plea. "I lived in shame, son. I don't ask forgiveness, just a chance to say I'm sorry." The garage is silent, save for the distant rumble of thunder. Sarah steps closer, her hand brushing Caleb's arm, her presence a quiet anchor. Noah watches his toy car clutch tight, sensing the gravity of the moment. Caleb's chest tightens, tears welling as he looks at his father frail and broken. The anger that's defined him for decades begins to crack, giving way to a raw, aching compassion. I carried your leaving my whole life, Caleb says, his voice trembling. But I won't carry hate anymore. He steps forward, his arms opening, and pulls Walter into a hesitant embrace. Tears stream down both their faces, the garage's flickering lights casting them in a halo of redemption. Sarah's eyes glisten, a soft smile breaking through her worry. Noah whispers, "Is Mr. Jackson okay, Mom?" She nods, her voice barely audible. "He's more than okay, Noah." The moment is a seismic shift, Caleb's forgiveness, a quiet triumph that reverberates beyond the garage. Outside, the storm breaks, rain pounding the roof, a cleansing roar that mirrors the release in Caleb's heart. He thinks of his mother, her photo on the wall, and feels her pride, a warmth that steadies him. The threats still loom, Harlan's smirk a shadow, but Caleb's act of grace has shifted something in Willow Creek, a spark that even the town's venom can't extinguish. Word spreads quickly, as it always does in a small town. At the diner, the barbershop, the church, people whisper about Caleb's reunion with his father, their voices tinged with awe. "He forgave the man who broke him," a woman says, her eyes wide. That's strength. The community page, once a battleground of praise and hate, fills with new comments. Caleb Jackson's the real deal. Harlan and his ilk lose traction, their despite exposed as petty in the face of Caleb's compassion. The notes stop for a day, then two, the town's resentment faltering as Caleb's quiet victory takes root. He works on fixing cars for those in need, his hands steady, his heart lighter, though he knows the storm isn't over. Sarah visits the garage, her face softer now, her guilt easing. "You did something amazing, Caleb," she says, her voice warm. He shrugs, wiping grease from his hands, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Just did what felt right." Noah runs to him, holding up his toy car. "You fixed your dad too, didn't you?" Caleb kneels, ruffling the boy's hair, his eyes soft. "Something like that, Noah." The garage hums with purpose, its rusted walls a testament to Caleb's resilience. He thinks of the photo of his mother, her smile a constant, and feels a new strength, one born of forgiveness, not just for Walter, but for himself. As night falls, Caleb stands outside, the rain slowing to a drizzle, the air cool against his skin. He thinks of the threats, still a shadow, but they feel smaller now, less potent. Sarah and Noah are his family, a bond forged in trust, and Walter's return, though painful, has given him a clarity he's never known. The garage, the town, the past, they're all part of him, but they no longer define him. Some truths linger, waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb knows the path ahead will test him. But for the first time, he feels ready, his heart open to whatever comes next in the heart of Willow Creek. The dawn breaks over Willow Creek, a golden glow spilling across the fields, softening the edges of a town once sharp with division. Caleb Jackson stands on the porch of his garage, the air fresh with the scent of damp earth and blooming jasmine. His hands, still marked by grease, rest on the railing, his eyes tracing the horizon where the sky meets the rolling hills. At 43, his face carries the weight of battles won not with fists, but with a heart that chose forgiveness over hate. The garage behind him, its rusted walls and flickering lights, is no longer just a workshop. It's a testament to his quiet strength, a place where broken things and broken people find healing. Sarah Mitchell and her son Noah have become his family, their presence a steady anchor in a life once defined by solitude. The threats that haunted Caleb have faded, their venom dulled by the town's shifting tide. His forgiveness of Walter, his dying father, rippled through Willow Creek like a stone dropped in still water. At the diner where whispers once carried scorn, voices now speak of Caleb with respect. "He's one of us," an old man says, his coffee cup trembling in his hand. "Always was." The community page, once a battleground, now brims with stories of Caleb's kindness. Cars fixed for free, lives quietly mended. Harlan Tate's sneers have lost their bite, his followers dwindling as the town rallies around Caleb, their pettiness exposed as a hollow echo of a fading past. Sarah's bold stand at the church, her voice clear and unwavering, sealed the shift Caleb Jackson's our heart. "We won't let hate win." Caleb moves through to the garage, his boots scuffing the concrete, the clatter of tools a familiar hymn. He's fixing a station wagon for a young couple, their gratitude, a quiet hum in the air. Noah bounds in his toy car, clutched tight, his face alight with a joy that makes Caleb's chest ache. "Mr. Jackson, look," Noah says, holding up a drawing. A stick figure, Caleb tall and strong, standing beside Sarah and Noah under a bright sun. Caleb kneels, his eyes soft, a smile breaking through. That's us, huh? Noah nods, his voice earnest. You're my hero, Mr. Jackson. The words land like a gift, and Caleb ruffles the boy's hair, his heart full. Sarah watches from the doorway, her smile warm, her eyes reflecting a trust that binds them. The garage is alive with purpose, its walls echoing with the rhythm of Caleb's work. He thinks of Walter, who passed days after their reunion, his final breath peaceful, his eyes filled with gratitude. Caleb kept his promise, letting Walter stay in his small house, their quiet dinners and halting conversations, a bridge across years of pain. The photo of his mother still taped to the garage wall seems to smile wider now, her strength woven into Caleb's own. He thinks of her words, do right, Caleb, even when it hurts, and feels them as a truth he's lived not just for others, but for himself. Some truths linger waiting to be unveiled, and Caleb knows now that healing begins with opening the heart even when it trembles. Sarah joins him in the garage, her hands busy sorting tools, a task she's taken up to ease his load. You've changed this town, Caleb, she says, her voice soft but sure. He shakes his head, wiping grease from his hands. Wasn't just me, Sarah. You and Noah, you gave me a reason to keep going. She meets his gaze, her eyes glistening. We're family now, that's what matters. The word family settles over Caleb like a warm blanket, a promise he once thought impossible. He thinks of the threats, the notes, the whispers, and how they crumbled against the strength of their bond. Willow Creek, with its cracked sidewalks and sagging porches, is no longer a place to endure, but a home to cherish. As dusk falls, Caleb, Sarah, and Noah sit on the garage porch, the sky a canvas of purple and gold. The air is cool, the hum of crickets weaving through the quiet. Noah leans against Caleb, his toy car resting in his lap, his breathing slow and content. Sarah's hand finds Caleb's, her touch a steady pulse of love. The town feels different now, its fault lines of race and class softened by Caleb's quiet victory. He thinks of the journey, Harlan's wage sneers the threatening notes, Walter's return, and sees it as a path to this moment where love and unity have triumphed over fear. The garage, the photo, the drawing Noah made, they're all threads in a tapestry woven with the courage to choose grace. In a nation built on second chances, Caleb's story is a quiet hymn sung in the everyday acts of kindness that bind a community. His forgiveness of Walter was not a grand gesture, but a deeply human one, a choice to release the past and embrace the present. He looks at Sarah and Noah, their faces bathed in the fading light, and feels a peace he once thought impossible. In Willow Creek, where prejudice once cast long shadows, Caleb's compassion has lit a spark, one that will burn long after the stars fade. He draws a deep breath, the weight of years lifting, and knows he's found his place not as a hero, but as a man who chose love over hate, dignity over despair. Some truths linger, but they no longer bind him. They set him free here in the heart of a town transformed by quiet strength.